We should be popping up in a second. Let's see. Oh, we're going to go live there. There we are. We should be popping up in a mute that. Right. Do you see us?
Not on Facebook.
Okay, probably refresh your stream.
Yeah.
We are on there. Yeah, we've got like 6 people on already.
Great.
Yeah. Do you see us yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Let me close the, all right.
Hey, you guys, I see a few folks are on already. Y'all say hello when you're jumping in, so we'll know where you're from, who you are.
Oh, there we are.
So excited. Okay. Yay. I'm so excited for tonight.
Awesome. Hi, Jenny.
Yay.
Oh, I got to mute that.
Yeah. It's like a circus kind of. You kind
yeah,
of
it is a circus.
What's going on over there? Oh wait, no, what is that? Mute that.
Holy moly.
Yay. Hey, Jenny.
Yay.
And Aisha is on. Yay. And Kathy. Hi, Kathy Dorsey. Awesome. So excited.
Awesome.
Let's see if you, hi, Shannon. Yay. So you guys, I'm super excited. Hello, Cassio from Brazil. He's on with me every week. Excited about that.
Nice.
Tina from Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, I'm super excited. You know, I get to share my friends with you all every week. Y'all remember, some of you remember when I was doing these Worship Leaders Let's Chat in my car. when I was going to say Pinterest, when what is it? Oh gosh,
Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Sorry to interrupt.
You're good. No, jump in there. What Periscope? When Periscope first started, and I was doing them, in my car, and we've come a long way.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Oh my gosh. Yay, I see Barbette is on from North Carolina. My best friend, Andrea. Clement Afre from Ghana is on. Yes, it was Periscope. And Vanessa Presley from Asheville. So yay. Yeah, some of them have been riding with me for a long time, sitting under the shade tree and in Parker's parking lot at Parker's school. You know, hey, be faithful in the little things, right?
That's right.
Well, you guys, I'm excited to have my friend, and I call her my godmom of studio, vocal, everything, Michelle Lindahl. I remember being in some of these early sessions, Michelle, and you would push me up in the closer to the mic. Get up in there. Get up in there. Like, okay. Yep. Sing out, LaRue, lead out. Like,
lead out.
All right. And then she, you know, kind of bumped me a little bit more. Sing out. Come on. You got it. You can do this. So much of who I am vocally is attributed to you, and you continually just encouraging me and pushing me forward. And I'm very, very, very thankful. So you guys say hello to Michelle Lindahl. Michelle, introduce yourself. Tell them where you are and where you're serving.
Hello. I am serving, and I have been serving for, it's been 22 years at Northland Church. Yeah, been there for 22 years. And for the past year and a half, I've been the vocal director there. So and I'm a worship leader. So that's my main job there. For a long time, I was just like a contracted worship leader person. I was not on staff until a year and a half ago or so. And it's been especially that time was wonderful. I got to do lots of different things and still really be plugged in there and be a part of what was happening there. So it was great.
That's so cool. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people here in Orlando know of Northland.
Hmm.
Some of you may not be familiar with Northland, but you know, if you ever get a chance, I'm going to type in what is the website for Northland? I'm going to type that in, and they can.
www.northlandchurch.net. That's it.
Yeah. And you guys can go and take a look at some of their services. Incredible, beautiful facility, and just really, really amazing um, ministry that they have there. I've had an opportunity to go in and do some recording there at their church as well.
She's our go-to.
Yeah. I love it.
When are you available, LaRue? Okay, that's when we're going to do it. Okay.
Crazy. But Michelle, tell them a little bit about what you do. You said you're the vocal director. What does that mean? Like, what does that all entail?
Right now, it entails a lot of different things than it normally does. But normally, it's rehearsing the singers, creating. I do vocal arranging now. That's one thing I've started doing over the past probably 3 or 4 years. I'm doing more of that. So taking arrangements and just trying to kind of make them our own, and then working the vocals and making sure they're on point and, you know, as good as we can possibly get them. And that, and allowing people to be who they are and how they worship, and letting that freedom be there for them.
Yeah. What I love most is the ability to take, you know, what you're doing. Well, it crosses over both ways, but what you do in your church, and then to be able to apply that in the professional world, and then also what you do professionally, and then, you know, bring that same expertise within your church. So I talked a little bit about us meeting and working together in studio during studio recording. So tell them a little bit about what you do in that respect.
I would say I grew up on the church pew. First of all, I grew up in an Assembly of God church, a whole family of Assembly of God pastors and all that. I think my cousin Beth may be on here. Hi, Beth.
I did see
and
that.
Yeah. And so that's my first love. My first love is, you know, singing and worshiping. But I would say my first musical love is singing in the studio. I love the going in and creating something that you walk in and you have no idea what you're going to do. And you walk in and they hand you the paper, or they play you something, or whatever your situation is. A lot of it's sight reading and stuff like that, and you cannot plan. So you go in there and it's amazing, the feeling of creating something out of nothing, basically, with this group of people that you're there with. I started doing it here in Orlando in 1992 when I moved here. And Sarah Moore, who we were talking about earlier, she was the contractor for Disney Sessions, and heard me actually at a concert at Northland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Heard me at a concert at Northland, got my card, and literally the next week, she called me to fill in for somebody on a Disney session. And that was my first session here in town. And from there, it's very difficult to make at least in Orlando, to make a real living off of, like, unless you're on staff or employed somewhere, to do all kinds of you have to do different things. You have to kind of diversify yourself. So, but studio singing's always been my first love. And now I've worked up to being a contractor of sessions, and I used to do a lot of live singing at, you know, hotels and jazz gigs and stuff like that. All that. Yeah. Used to do all that, and, you know, lots of conventions and things like that, to support myself. And I traveled a lot, but I love studio work very much.
You talked about having to diversify yourself, and you know, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about is, you know, developing multiple streams of income. For many of us here in the U.S., well, I say many, but maybe it's not many, but for several people that are that are singers at their church, or they're musicians at their church, or they're a part of their worship teams. Either they are working at their church and recently was not able to work and generate income anymore, but have also been able to grab a hold to some of the things that they've been doing as far as like sessions and things of that nature. And that's been like another way for them to generate their income.
Right.
How can someone get into that, get into doing sessions and studio work, and and I know it's totally slowed down right now, but
right.
how can someone that's even remotely interested in doing some studio work get into that?
I mean, I would start with reaching out to for like actual sessions with someone like Disney or Universal or SeaWorld or whatever. I do a lot of contracting for theme parks or live events and stuff like that. What I would say is, don't ever think that, you know, they wouldn't want somebody like me. My voice is different. They wouldn't want me. I know all contractors are always looking for new talent, not to replace like all the people that we have. It's about finding new sounds, especially lead vocalists. For soloists and stuff like that, to have a lot of options is really, really important. So I would reach out to people who, you know, are contractors in the area. That would be like someone like me, Tony DeRosa. There's quite a few people. I would reach out that way. There are lots of I see different things popping up online of there are with people that are recording in their homes and stuff like that. But you should have some sort of recording, some good recording of yourself live. I would say when you do, or not live, but a recording of yourself, whether it's live or just recorded in your studio, and do something that you do well. What is your thing? What do you do well? Because don't tell anybody I do everything, you know, because none of us do everything well.
Right.
So you want to really know what your niche is, and do something that you do really well.
Yeah.
So
if they are just like on the bottom baseline beginning, so getting a recording of themselves, like how does that? You got to do a little bit more than getting something on their phone, or would something like that work? Like how would they?
That can, but I would say if you have any, I mean, I can count a lot of friends that have some little rig in their house. I have a friend of mine that needed to record something for a virtual video, and she had a friend of hers come over with their little Pro Tools rig and a microphone. It's as simple as that. And there's just, if you can reach out to me directly if you need somebody that would help you with that. And you can get tracks off of, you know, iTunes, and I mean, you have a lot of options out there that you can do on your own.
Right. Yeah. I know for me, like I use Garageband just starting out, you know, if it's, you know, something just generic, basic that needs to be done, I'll open up Garageband. It's a software that comes on a Mac. If you have a Mac computer, an Apple computer, I think it's already there. But that, and you just get a good microphone, a USB microphone that plugs into your computer, and like Michelle said, just get a performance track from online, download it, record yourself singing that. What about voiceovers? Now, I know Parker has been doing some voiceovers here recently, and he loves it, absolutely enjoys doing that a lot. What are some things that show producers or different companies or contractors like yourself, what are they looking for?
I think that they're looking for a variety of things, because I was just actually talking to a good friend of ours, Kurt von Schmidto, who does a lot of voiceovers for Disney and all kinds of things. And his demo reel is a lot of just different types of, if you do character voices, if you have like an announcer type voice, if you're one of these people that have lots and lots of voices that you can do, that's really great. I've seen some other people online, showing that on their Facebook page. I mean, I think that's a really viable way to showcase yourself. I know a lot of people that are putting songs of theirs and all that kind of stuff on Instagram right now, and it is a way that people find you. Cool. Kurt he had put something on Facebook, and he actually got a kind of a friend of a friend had referred him to Kurt, and Kurt ended up picking up a voiceover gig this past week. Wow. So you just don't know
by putting something on his Facebook page,
on your page.
Yeah. So many people are looking all over social media for everything, and you just never know who will find you. Vanessa was asking a question: if you're not in state or not around theme parks, do they ever consider someone out of state for recordings or different sessions like that?
Yeah. I do have people that I brought in from out of state, like Katie. And our friend Karen, that she lives in Georgia right now. Absolutely. If it's for something like that, it needs to be financially worth it for you to do it. So if it's a well-paying job and you come down and, use some of your money you make for your plane ticket or for your gas or whatever.
Yeah. I know, for, another thing to consider too, for getting started or getting into this business, like creating a demo. I've heard of people doing like a demo reel together. Is that kind of the same thing where you just like take different samples of what you do, and
you take, three, probably 5 or 6 little clips. Do not make your demos long, because we'll start playing them and we can tell within about 30 seconds to of if I want to keep listening, honestly. My big mentor with studio work has turned out to be a man named Tim Davis, who is the vocal arranger for everything that was ever done on Glee. And I got to work with him right by his side for a few years on a project for Disney. And that's one of the main things he says is like, do not make this something where, I'm going to save my money stuff for the end. No, don't do that. You want to have your best stuff up front, get our attention, and we'll keep listening.
Yeah. When you say your money stuff, you mean like your all out, your best riffs.
Yes.
Your best blending, your best performance stuff.
Yeah.
And, and we're speaking specifically about, multiple streams of income and ways to, get in the business of, ways to get in the business of like doing studio work, doing voiceover work. So if you are wanting to do that, you want to make sure that you are putting the best foot forward at the beginning of your demo reel. If they, I know you said that they can reach out to you direct. Is that something that is okay?
I'm on Facebook. Just private message me.
Yeah. So you can find her at Michelle Lindahl. Working with Tim Davis, because I know you brought him in to do a
studio vocal intensive.
And man, that thing was incredible. It was so amazing. To be able to be there with him, because I know he's, like you said, he was the main guy for Glee, the show Glee. And then I know he did vocals, put some background vocals together for the Super Bowl.
He's one of the main contractors in LA. Yeah.
I think some of the biggest things that I learned from him was like studio etiquette. And I know we're not doing a lot of studio sessions right now, but what would you say are some of the things to consider when doing a studio session?
It's an odd situation usually, in the sense that, it's normally not some big collaborative thing. You're taking direction from the producer who's on the other side of the glass. And I'd say, obviously you have to be talented and you have to sing well. But the other thing is, a spirit of humility and deferring to others and serving others and not being dramatic and not pulling focus after every take or something like that. It's just, it's coming from a place of humility, and that I'm not the most important one here, but that we are going to work this together. And I've used this example a lot of times, is that I could have two people that I would need to hire for may have one position that I need to fill left for a job. And I've got a choice between two girls, and one of them is like off the charts, unbelievable, but is difficult to work with. And I could have, but the other one she's off the charts, not as much as the other girl, but still incredible, but is a joy to work with.
Wow.
She will be called.
Yeah.
And you'll also, and it isn't always my choice. If the producer doesn't like the attitude or whatever he or she are getting from a certain person or whatever, they will ask me not to bring them in again or something, so it's coming in with that attitude. Yeah.
So spirit of humility. I love that. Deferring to others. And it's just, like I said, it's really wonderful to be able to take the things that we learn and that we follow after, as Christians and as believers, and to be able to apply those things, in our professional walk, which we should anyway. Right.
Well, can I just say real quick, LaRue and I have this, when we do sessions together, we do have this thing sometimes where it's like she gets to a certain point in her voice, and then at that point, that's where my voice gets like this, like strident, like loud sound. And so where she starts petering out and I start, but I'm petering out below her. And then we have this thing where we switch, and we'll look at each other and be like, okay, let's switch parts. Because
and sometimes she won't even say anything. She'll just look and just do that thing. And you just know what that means. Okay, you got it. Okay, now you got it. Okay, yeah. So it's
teamwork. And it's everybody we work with. There'd be times when they want, it needs to be brighter in this part. Okay, let's switch parts and put you there. And it's always, no ego.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let me kind of backtrack too a little bit to talking about blending as it relates, because I know you came and you did when we had a summit, we did the WLA summit. You came in and you did the background vocal session and talked a little bit about blending and how to bring teams together for there was a thingy, but bringing your teams together vocally. What are some things to think about when you have multiple singers singing together? Like, how do you put them together? I know you just said if you have one voice that's a little stronger than the other, how do you match them up?
A lot of times I think of it in the same way I think of studio singing, in that in each section there's a lead horse, is what we call it. There's that lead person, and the others have to come in behind that person. Or if it may not be a person, it may be a sound. And if I can create that sound, and then we can all get behind that sound. That if your voice is naturally very dark, and we want a brighter sound on something, you gotta get behind that brighter sound and contribute to that.
Right.
So
yeah.
I kind of do that with each section. Who is the lead horse of each section? Who are you all following? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think too, as it relates to like praise teams and things of that nature, determine what you want your sound to be for your team as a whole.
Yeah.
Right. And then
and it may change on different songs. I know it does for us.
Yeah, depending on what style song, what style music you're doing. So that would depend on what kind of, because I know and someone asked too about like, if like when we had praise teams, you didn't have everybody on the mic at the same time, but you had to figure out, how do you match those two folks together? Well, you would determine what sound you are wanting to produce. And so you would make sure that those two people would have that type of sound and pair them together. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Right now, though, with us not gathering together for church. We're not doing a lot of sessions and things like that. How have you been handling all of that?
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, it's been hard.
Yeah.
It's been really hard. I have, up and down days for sure. The main thing that I felt is, I'm going to backtrack a little bit with, as I've gotten older, I used to sing out in the parks at Disney. I was in the Tarzan show and American Vibe and all those things. And you get to an age where you start aging out of some things and all that kind of stuff. And I do feel like I have worked my whole life hustling. I have hustled gigs, hustling in the sense of just working. I've never had a full-time job ever during this process. So whether I was doing bands or singing in hotels and stuff like that, traveling, and I have diversified myself over these years of, I've started doing vocal coaching out at Disney, started vocal arranging. I've been producing. So, and I've had some wonderful people that have kind of thrown me in the deep end with that. So I learned how to do Finale. I've during this time I've
Finale, that's the software.
Yeah, that's a software where you create charts. Where I had somebody ask me, can you I've got a bunch of lifting, that's what you call it. Like if someone gives you a song and like a pop song that's on the radio and they want you to write out the background vocals. So you listen to it and you write out what those notes are. And well, there's a software for that called Finale. And so I learned that. So I've become very good on that. But it's one of those things that when people, 90% of the time when people ask me if I can do something, I'll say like, you know what, I think I can. So I got with a good friend of ours, of Teresa's and mine, and she sat with me. She's like an expert in Finale, and sat with me for hours and gave me all of the shortcuts, So that's an example of the diversifying. And a lot of people have thrown me in the deep end to do, lots of things. I'm super grateful for that. All that to say, to never stop and then to have to stop. I do feel like I have gone through this period of mourning of what do I do with myself? The big one is my identity, who am I? And I
know.
And to not have to not have your identity wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. And to have my identity wrapped up in the idea that I am a child of God.
That's right.
That's who I am. And I am not just working all the time, So it's been a big, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of up and down for sure. But I've used this time to try to teach myself to do Pro Tools and record myself. And I have done quite a bit of that for just some little things for people. But it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. So, and I know a lot of my friends have in our community are really going through this too. And, figuring out, should I start looking to do something else for a while until this passes or, so trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that is so true that, things like this it'll jerk your chain.
Yeah.
A little bit, right? And kind of get you back to center. And, like you said, if we don't, and we talked a little bit about that too, when everything kind of started off with, in the way of, we didn't look at it as identity, but also as idols. And that sometimes we
absolutely
look at our giftings and what we do, like that's our source. And that is where we go to for everything. And we rely on that. And then when it all hits and the rug is pulled out, it's like, whoa, but what we do remember is that God is still there, and God is He is our provider, and He is our source. And so I love that you're that you're continuing to grow, you're growing and you're learning and you're doing more
Yeah.
to expand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to sound like, pretty flowers over here. I have struggled.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hasn't been, because I would have days where I'm so productive, and then other days where it's like, man, I'm going to go, just go outside and walk for a while. I got to, figure this out. But yeah.
But even that in and of itself, go outside and walking for a little while. I've discovered this newfound love of just sitting outside on my patio.
Yeah. Us
and just
too.
being in the sun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Yep.
There's a question. Would you recommend a good microphone for recording at home?
Oh, I'd have to research that a little bit more. Yeah. To be honest, let me research that a little bit more. If you can get me your information.
Yeah, that's Vanessa.
On that, because there's a lot of different ranges of microphones. I will tell you this: I have discovered that getting this, unless you really get into this, a super expensive microphone is not what you need to do. That would be like down the road if you really get into this. What I've discovered and what the feedback I've gotten from producers and stuff is that a lot of times it's more of the environment that you set up than the actual microphone. If you get, you don't need to get some tube microphone or anything like that, but a decent, something decent for your voice, but you've got to do a little bit of padding around you and stuff like that. There's that can be more important.
The Chaotica eyeball. I don't know if y'all have seen that thing there. And it just sits right on top of the microphone, and that helps with the reverb of the room. And,
and there's some little things you can go around, or even just making sure there's some, hanging blankets around you and stuff like that.
You remember, did you ever sing inside the closet with the blanket over the door?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you had to calm that noise down. So we get in the closet, put that blanket over your head. Yeah. Too funny. Michelle, tell us a little bit about your family. I wanted to segue a little bit.
I am married. I've been married for 22 years to my husband, Rob, and he's an incredible musician.
Yeah.
And just great musician, great singer, really super talented. He's the super creative one. I'm like, give me the creation and I will make it happen. So I feel like we're a good team. We've been a good team over the years. And we have a son, Christian, who's 17. He's going to be a senior this year. And we have a daughter, Gracie, who is going to be a sophomore. And they're both very musical. Christian has perfect pitch, and is something that's happened during this quarantine is he spends a lot more time playing piano and singing and writing songs and stuff like that. Yeah. And then Gracie is, she still does, studio work and stuff like that with Parker and stuff like that, has done that in the past. And, but yeah.
So Christian, is he writing any music, or is he?
He is. He's not really writing lyrics. He's writing it's funny. Rob hears music in the music. He's not a lyrics guy. He's and so Christian sits in there like he does, like Rob would, and just chords. It's all chords and, creating something that way. So
that's really cool. I can't wait to hear some of the things that he creates.
Yeah.
So I know that you have shared your story a little bit about some of the mental health situations that you guys have dealt with in your home. How have you all been handling this time?
Rob has actually been doing pretty well, actually, most of the time. My husband has suffered from chronic depression since he was very small, and he's older than me. So it was since the early 1960s. So, and you know what it looked like back then, if you ever saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but has been dealing with that his whole life.
Wow.
And it is, he's on medication and all that kind of stuff, but it's a family illness, and it's something that we are always dealing with. And and our kids are well aware of it. And I think I've actually gotten my kids in some counseling during this time because of the isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and some
Yeah.
different things that have popped up. When you don't feel like you have control over your life, you develop other ways to control things,
Mm-hmm.
and but I know there's a lot of creative people out there, and it's and when you're really gifted with that creativity, there's a lot of times is a burden that goes along with it of depression or anxiety and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. How old was he when he was diagnosed? And was that prior to you guys
Like,
getting married, or?
oh, Rob,
Yeah.
his first signs of everything was when he was about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he was on and off of medication for his whole life. He was off when we met,
Okay.
and then he went back.
Mm.
I was like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's still a cycle. It's not perfect at all.
Right.
But,
yeah. We talked a little bit about how, if you look back in musical history, we'll see so many musical geniuses had some
mm-hmm.
type of mental health or mental illness or something like that. Can you talk just a little bit about how, as creatives, we have to be aware of the way that we handle life and the way that we handle
mm-hmm.
situations and things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I'll speak from, and I know Rob would be fine with me talking about this. When you can even have a tendency to sabotage yourself,
Mm-hmm.
letting your emotions that you're feeling right there in that moment, that you may be upset and you may want to cut that tie or say something that you will regret later.
Mm-hmm.
Of having, and I think that comes from, I know for Rob and I, he trusts me, and for you to have somebody in your life that you trust that can check you basically and say, this isn't real. This is I don't think what they said, they really meant that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about this, and don't say anything right now. Don't write anything right now. Let's take a breath. And as far as things that you can do that are very tangible, that's one that is very important in our relationship, of saying, for him to trust me enough to say, let's stop for a minute and
having that
and take a breath.
Accountability,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That accountability person.
Yeah.
So as someone who, it may be on in your position, how do you access, or how do you handle working with someone, or how do you, come across with someone to say, hey, I see you struggling with this.
Mm-hmm.
Can I help you? How do you do that without, offending or crossing any boundaries or anything like that?
If it's someone that I'm working with,
mm-hmm.
Usually when I've had to take somebody aside and say, let's come and talk. I feel like there's something else going on than just what's happening in this mm-hmm. rehearsal or in this mm-hmm. session. Something else is going on, and talking about it, and saying, I see that you're doing this, but this is what those actions, this is how you're being seen by everybody else. And mm-hmm. I don't want that to hurt you in your future. So, even if you may be feeling that way, unfortunately, you can't always show it, mm-hmm. which is, it's not about being fake, but it's about knowing when you have to be professional and put that to the side,
You said something about, not having to be ashamed of, mm-hmm. of any of those struggles. What would you say to someone that say they might suspect that they might have some mental illnesses or some mental health concerns? Mm-hmm. Where do they even start? Like, what would be their first step?
I think the first step is always to talk to somebody and find mm-hmm. a counselor, somebody mm-hmm. that you can talk to. I would actually start by, if you have a dear friend that you spend time with and
Mm-hmm.
say, this is what I'm feeling. Even saying, is this how this anxiety that I'm having, is
Mm-hmm.
this something that you experience, or is this kind of like, is this out of the ordinary? Is this something
Mm-hmm.
that is not quote unquote normal for me to
Right.
be this anxious about all these things, or depressed about this and
Mm-hmm.
this and this? And even bounce it off somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
Start with counseling, and from there maybe medication.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing to know about medication is, depending on where you are in your life and what you're going through, a lot of times medication is for a season. And I think people get scared that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on something for the rest of my life.
Right.
Unless you're a very extreme case like my husband is,
Mm-hmm.
who will never go off of medication.
Mm-hmm.
Many people that I know, it's a season.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a season. And if you're going through just a really horrible time,
Yeah.
that you can't cope and you need some help, you don't need to be, ashamed of that, or feel like it's like this sentence that, okay, I'm going to be on this forever, because that's not true.
Yeah.
So,
That I think that offers a lot of hope to people,
mm-hmm.
because there's such a stigma that comes with that, with
Oh
any
yeah.
type of, mental health, oh, and where no one wants to acknowledge it, or no one wants
Mm-hmm.
to, say, oh, I've got this going on.
Yeah.
But truth be told, a lot of creatives,
Oh yeah.
which I felt like we needed to have that conversation here in this forum, because a lot of creatives have, a lot of things that we'll process through our music, and process through our art, and
Mm-hmm.
process through our giftings. And, we don't have that now for many. We
Right.
don't have that outlet, musically. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to address and face issues, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is the time that you have to do it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I know we were
Yeah.
talking a little bit about, like Beethoven and Mozart
Mm-hmm.
had some of those things
Oh
as
gosh.
well,
Yeah.
but
Got
are
obsessive.
noted as, yeah, but are noted as some of the most, creative people in our history.
Yeah. And I think if you watch, any of those, behind the music, I'm really dating myself. That was a VH1 show. Good Lord. But any biographies on any musicians, I would say 90% of them are fighting some demon within.
Mm,
And I mean that figuratively, but
yeah.
they have some issue that they are struggling with, whether it's addictions. And that was part of Rob's as well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whether it's addictions, depression. um so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. Cassio had a question. He said, in Brazil, at least in what I've experienced so far in evangelical churches, it's not common to have worship leaders hired, but most of them are volunteers. How is it in the
Mm-hmm.
US? Yeah, I think that the majority of churches in the US are probably volunteer
Mm-hmm.
based. Um, but you do have, some churches that are able to offer a financial,
Mm-hmm.
provision for their musicians and their worship
Yeah.
leaders.
Yeah.
Not many, although
Right.
it seems like all of them, because that's what we see. But there are
Mm-hmm.
more churches here in the
There's
U.S.
yeah.
that are, everyone is volunteer.
Yeah,
So.
most of our team is volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
um it's in the way I became, I got paid, just kind of, we call it a stipend. It's just not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money. It's just a small amount of money. But when I first started coming to Northland, I was just starting out, and I was trying to make a living by myself.
Yeah.
And so I was taking every little $50, $25 job
Yeah.
I could find. And Northland at the time had 7 services, and wanted to, and I wanted to get involved, but I couldn't afford to. I couldn't afford to work the whole week, or not work, but sing the whole weekend
Right.
at Northland, when I needed to, I needed to gig. I needed
Right.
to be out there
You needed
gigging
to
on the
work.
weekends.
Yeah.
I needed to make money for myself.
Yeah.
And what was wonderful at Northland is Tim Tracy came to me and he said, what if I can just give you enough to take you out of that, so you don't have to take all those little jobs, so you can be here with us. And that's what he did. And I never left. And that's where my heart has always been. So, yeah.
So, and for a lot of people who would want to be at their church, you have to work. You have to work. And so it's not that, I know a lot of the conversation for a lot of times have been, oh, you just want some money to, no, we have to have a job. We have to do things to work. We want to serve and want to be at our church. It would be great if I can do this and get a little something.
Exactly.
Because this is where your heart is here, but you have to work. And so, maybe it's a conversation that can be had. The status of your church and what they are able to do at this time. So, I want to go back though to talking about the mental health awareness, because I know we kind of talked a little bit about how some of the talented folks have something going on, right? Let's talk a little bit about identifying that. Well, not necessarily identifying it, but when you have, like, say you have someone on your team or in your band that is a little extra special, and but they're super, super, super talented, how can this awareness help us to have more grace when dealing with people? Not to say, we're diagnosing someone or anything like that, but to just bring that awareness that, there could be, something happening, but then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's, I think we've dealt with that. I know I have, of just having to have conversations with people,
right?
And showing grace, but also the big picture is, why are we here?
Right.
We are here. Everything we do is to obviously to worship, but we're not here for ourselves. We're here for the edification and of basically the congregation. We are here to serve them, and anything that becomes a distraction from that takes away from what we're actually doing and the worship that we're because that's always been our goal, is like, we want to take away every distraction. And sometimes that is a personality. Sometimes that's what people are struggling with. Are you going to take that on out there with you when you worship? Because I'll tell you, we're all going through stuff.
Yeah.
And I know there have been times in my, whether it's mental illness or what you're going through a terrible time, of being very conscious that I cannot drag that in this room with me. I'm not going to, it isn't that I'm pretending like something's not wrong, that I'm not pretending that everything's perfect in my life,
right?
But there has to be an awareness of why you're there, and that you are there to serve. And hopefully people will serve you as well, But you have to have hard conversations sometimes of, what's going on. Maybe let's take a little break right now and figure this out and come back. Or, there's lots of options, but it just has to, the main thing to me is you have to have a relationship with that person to have those conversations. So, and this hasn't always been my strong suit, but of having real relationships with people on everyone on the team. What depression has done to me over the years, with not my depression, but dealing with my husband's, is that I retreat and I don't reach out to everybody. And sometimes feel like I have failed in not seeing some of that. But I think we all cope the best we can, and have seasons of that. But I think the relationship, when you have relationships with people that are authentic, you can have those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to see my friend Eddie Anders. I don't know if you know Eddie. We traveled a little bit together a few years ago, and he said I was such a good performer, and no one had a clue I had become self-destructive.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eddie has an incredible testimony where he actually tried to commit suicide, and it didn't work. But was singing and performing and traveling and the whole nine, and God saved him, and
praise God.
And so it just kind of goes to that, testament of, we get on stage and we do our thing, but at the end of the day, for so many, it's just like a cover up. We don't know what folks are dealing with, and as creatives, I keep going back to this, we are performers. We know how to put that mask on, and we know how to go, out front. But it is about relationships, and I talked a little bit about too, just maintaining those relationships during this time, because we're not able to be with people in the room with one another. When I heard your voice today, I almost cried. We see each other on Instagram, social media, and we text a little bit, but it's those relationships that we have to keep.
Yeah. And I think there are times like what you were talking about and what Eddie was talking about, is that you can put that on to cope with whatever you're going through for so long, but it doesn't last. You cannot keep it up at all. So
LaRonda said prayer will keep you from taking personal and emotional issues you're dealing with out on your audience. Also, having someone to confide in helps to get through challenging times without everyone knowing. Absolutely. Well, this has been a heavy conversation, a needed conversation. But also I think that it's very beneficial and just an eye-opening, for those of us that are for those that are watching. And thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing, and thank you for being here. And I know that you and Rob have shared your story before, and I don't know, maybe you can share you guys have a YouTube video, right?
There is, I have a link to my testimony. And it's really interesting. When we did that, you cannot imagine the people that came out of the woodwork. And I know that a lot of you out there struggle, especially during this time of isolation.
So if you don't mind, if you can maybe, or I can find it too. I'll find it and tag it in here. Just so people can hear it, because I know it was such a blessing. So, but before we go, would you mind praying before we go?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Dear Jesus, we thank you so much for this time. As it's amazing. I think about where we are now, and I'm sitting here in my daughter's bedroom because I thought it was cute, talking to all these new friends. And I couldn't imagine 3 months ago that we would be doing this. But what I keep thinking every day is that you knew all of this was going to happen. You know every hair on our heads. You know every moment of every one of our lives. And it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around that you know so every little thing about us. And yet you are the creator of the universe, and you make the sun rise and set every day. And I'm just so grateful. I pray for all these people that are online with us right now. I pray for their minds, that they will be calm. I pray that they will know that there is nothing to fear, that you have this and you have them. I pray for hope. Hope is a powerful thing. And when you lose hope, that's when it's hard to even keep going forward. I pray for, since we've talked about it so much, for the mental health and the spirits of everyone here. I pray for work and for income and for decisions that people are making about their careers and what the next steps are. But most of all, I just pray, Lord, that you will comfort and calm minds. I'm finding that most people that I know, their minds are just not stopping of what's next. Thank you for LaRue, for the leader that she is in this community and in my life, the example that she is in just every way, and the talent that you've given her and the spirit, oh man, and her worship leadership. What a gift you have given her. And what's even better is that she is absolutely using it to your glory and to the best of the abilities that you have given her and beyond. Bless this night for everybody. And we just pray for our country and for our world right now, Lord. Show yourself and continue to show yourself every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
You. I love you.
Love you so much. I can't wait till I see you.
I know.
And can sing with you in person again. Good Lord.
Yes. Hi, vey. Well, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We shared Michelle's Cash App earlier. If the Lord puts it on your heart to send a gift to her, I would appreciate it very much. I know she said you don't have to do that, but if the Lord leads you to do
thank you, LaRue.
If you would, we sure would appreciate that. But thank you guys so much for streaming tonight, and I will see you all again next week. I love you all much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.